Hello, everyone. We are back with Tuesday live readings. Hey, Jess.
Howdy.
How's it going?
Happy full moon in Scorpio.
Ooh.
So,
yes, I'm sure we'll be talking about that today.
I'm feeling it, but I also,
Yeah.
it's not screwing me up as much as I thought maybe it would due to my own placements with Scorpio. So I'm like,
Mhm.
that's cool. Like I feel it, but I'm just like not, I don't know. I feel like it would have jumbled me up more like in my past or something like that. So that's cool when you notice growth inside yourself, or at least like
Yes.
more of a calmness in yourself. Because it's like easy to see other people going through things, but when you can feel shift inside of your own self, it's really a good one. It's cool. So I think that that's what my morning has been like, because I'm feeling intense energies, but I'm not like flipped out or anything.
Yeah, I'm with you
What
on that.
you know, I have been in the past.
Yes. I'm totally feeling you on that. My experience this time around is similar. Yeah, so it's just, you know, we're closing out eclipse season with this full moon, and we haven't really been live since the first eclipse back on March 25th. So it's been really, really interesting season and opportunity for diving into your own personal growth and healing. And if you're kind of not there or resisting any of it, then the experience with this full moon is going to be very different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that this one somehow, well, every eclipse season I go through it. I do. And looking back on past eclipse seasons, like major events correlate with, but you don't realize it till you're like past it and you can look back at dates, and even if you choose to do so, but I can't help it because whatever. And so it's just super interesting that it's like, yeah, actually shit does really go down during eclipse season. Like, not that all year isn't whatever, but yeah. And so yeah, I don't know. I just this one has been a lot about reflection for me too.
Well, we've had Mercury Retrograde also, so that definitely
Oh,
adds
okay.
that element. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is valuable for me. The reflection and pattern recognition inside myself and all this, because it's not just about the people around us, you know.
hmm I'm really glad you said that pattern recognition thing, because that's
Yeah.
certainly an opportunity in this and all of these energies that have been leading up to this tonight. Just for really, what did I call it? The tagline, I just did the Astro-Weather Check for this on Friday, and the
Oh,
tagline I gave it was "Your Inner Pink Lotus."
yeah. I was gonna say the lotus. Yep. So
Yeah,
that's like the blooming of the beautiful out of the muck.
yeah, and just taking it as a rebirth experience, if that's been what the experience has been all along, and it's very much associated with the Buddha, the Scorpio full moon.
Yeah.
So choosing that path of, yeah, it's always choice too, like just staying in the higher vibration and you're like while releasing the things that are no longer serving, because that's what we do under full moons anyway. It's said that the Buddha was born, was enlightened, and then transitioned back to spirit under a Scorpio full moon.
Oh God. How about
So
that?
this is also that Wesak holiday that gets associated with that. So, learning from the Buddha's teachings is a really good opportunity to maybe seek out if it is feeling like turmoil under this energy and all that. So just like seek the enlightenment path and choose the rebirth experience and transformation, because that's what Scorpio ultimately is all about anyway.
Yeah.
So
Whole life.
yeah, I know.
The thing, reflection as well. So it's like, this is just how your life is, Jess. So get used to it or don't. But
hmm
probably should. Now that I'm in my
Yeah.
like well into my 40s, it's like, oh, sometimes I wish I could have realized a lot of things earlier, but it's like I wouldn't have. There's no way I could have, because like you have to go through stuff to realize stuff. So as soon as I start being like, well, I wish, it's like, nope, stop, no, because I wouldn't have really been able to absorb it anyway, probably. Or it might have been right there in my face, but I was just, my Taurus was like too stubborn to whatever,
To want to see it.
Yeah. Like, nope.
So Jess, we have Sophia with us. Hi, Sophia.
Hi, Sophia.
And oh, we'll miss you today, but we'll record it, Sophia. So she's referring to our monthly online soul circle for our Soul Garden members. So that's what we have going on today. And she said she wants to publicly promote your dragons. You want to talk about those a little bit, Jess?
I made 2 dragon babies, which is the newest dragon offering that I have, for her children. And what well, I get emotional over children, and so these were the first dragons at all, because I had the other form prior. This is the first dragons that I've made for children at all in any capacity, so it was brand new. Just like every single dragon I've ever made is learning something, which is cool and intense and all the things. So it's like every time I make one, it's something for me as well. It's like a gift for me as well, is how I really look at it. So tuning into her children's energy was just so refreshing and delightful and innocent and wondrous. And like, they came through with 2, which I had no idea would happen. Each came through with a little baby animal totem that I had it's like, I just don't even, I've come to realize I can't expect anything, and that I just don't know what's going to happen at any time that I make a dragon ever at all. So, so it was just a really new and like pure kind of experience for me. Being that their energy was so lovely, not that adults' energy isn't, but it's different. And usually, or a lot of times, dragons will come through with a name, but theirs didn't, because the receivers were so young and they're guides for life. Like, that was like, I got hammered in with that, guides for life. And so the dragons themselves wanted to be named by the children, because it's a relationship that will always be there and will just continue to grow, and like, they'll know what their names are. I don't know. And also because they're babies, it's hard to explain with words that but it was just super awesome. And apparently the colors that came through, which unbeknownst to me, because Sophia was just like, just do it intuitively. So I did. And it turns out that both of them came out with each individual child's aura colors that she had already gotten a read on prior, unbeknownst to me. So that was cool, but also like a major confirmation to myself that like, it's real. Well, I mean, I know it's real, but sometimes it's like, because we're only human, and so it's like, what the heck, sometimes. But it was super awesome. And she sent me a little video of her children with them saying thanks. And it's like, I've watched it over probably like 10 times since. And it just makes me giggle a little bit and be like, hey. I don't know. So, and just like it's just lovely. It was a really awesome experience to make them for children. A totally different experience. Also the same, but different. I don't know. But it was lovely. Lunar and Jax, yeah. Lunar was the pink and purple one, and Jax was the blue and green one, I believe. So, like, exactly. Like, they knew their names. They weren't about to tell me their names. They're like, no. And I'm like, cool, because that's like less than it's not less that I have to do, but it's like, there was a specific reason that I downloaded why I'm not naming these. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I just let it, it's helping me like loosen up and just understand that the stuff that's coming through is real and accurate. And it helped me not second guess myself, which I feel like I'll be spending the rest of my life working on. But yeah. Yeah. So yes. it took longer than I had expected to make them, but I feel like that was due in part to like stuff that was going on in my own life, and I'm really adamant about not putting my own crunchy energy into the pieces I'm making, because the nature of the pieces I make are energetic, and like I know in my heart that it holds what, like that it would hold what I like. Say if I'm in a really really cruddy mood, I'm just not going to even work on them because it would hold that. And I'm not trying to, I'm like making these pieces for healing and growth for other people. So why would I, like, I might feel better after it because it would have taken some of it away from me. But then I'm literally like sending my crap in the mail to someone. So, um, yeah, so I'm just really adamant about that rule for myself. So I might need to like write some kind of disclaimer about that. But luckily, so far, anyone I've been late with has been understanding as far as that. Um, but yeah, so yeah, she just received them last week, I believe, early last week. So, and they got sent out during eclipse season. So all the timing has been perfect, even though it was late. It was actually perfect. You know, like I don't know. You know how that works out.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Sophia. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
And we had Honora join and say hello. Hello, Honora. If anyone would like a reading, just let us know. We are here till about 12:30. And Jess, what decks did you pick for today?
So I have my animal deck, my angel deck, and hang on while I grab my moon deck. I'm gonna put my camera off because I'm wearing jammy pants. Hold on.
No worries. So while Jess is getting that deck, since we're closing out eclipse season today, I picked my dragon deck for today. So it's the Dragon Oracle cards by Diana Cooper, and a new deck that I was gifted back in the fall, Star Codes Astro Oracle, which I've been using just one card from since we've been writing about Dark Nights of the Soul and Pluto energy. So you may have seen that card if you've watched any of my recent video episodes. But I figured I wanted to pull from this deck today for anybody that wants reading. So it'll probably be a combination of one of each for anybody that asks.
So we've got dragons here too. If
excellent. So Jess, there was one thing we talked about yesterday that we wanted to do. Somebody that we know is going to be watching the replay today.
Right.
Couldn't make it live. So we wanted to give a shout out to Jill and do a special reading for her to kick off today's live. Would you be open to doing that for her?
Sure.
And that stands for anybody. If you can't make it live, send us a question or just let us know you want a card pull and we'll do it for you. And then you can just watch the replay and get your reading.
All right, I've got the moon deck. I'm just feeling that. So we'll start with that.
Excellent.
Okay, so I pulled third quarter moon. Adjustments are required. So, and then I also see my deal with purple is that it always means healing. So, yeah, I mean, 'tis the season for adjustments. So like, I don't feel like this is necessarily personal or like something bad, or I think it's a commentary on the time period we're in. And so if you've already made adjustments or are making adjustments, then this is commenting on that. I don't think it's saying like, you better do something quick. Like, you know what I mean? I don't feel that. I feel it's the galaxy and stars here gives me a softer feeling, or just like not like a urgent call to action. Like it actually feels like it's already in motion, and so it's a commentary on things that you're already doing. And so I would look at this more as a confirmation as to what's already going on, instead of like some kind of a harsh message like you better get a move on or something like that. I don't feel like it's like that. And so to clarify that, I'm going to pull from my animal power deck, which I have been seeing some really, like, that there's no way it's not some sort of a thing, like fox, boom, in your backyard, woodchuck, boom, on your deck, like, you know, like, okay guys, hi. Deer jumps out in front of my car on the way to work, like, okay, hi. Please don't let me get in a wreck. But so anywho, okay, so we got the otter. Surrender. Surrender. I let go of control, with the let go in all caps. So this is interesting because 'tis the season to surrender, because when things get crunchy, what else are you really gonna, it's like after a while of things just being crunchy, what can you even do besides surrender? Surrender to me is always really like getting to the point of surrender. It, for myself, I usually fight it tooth and nail. I get all cramped up in my brain. I experience like crunchy things in my life. And so then I get to the point of surrender through what I feel like is crisis and no other option. Um, and then once I do, it is such a freaking relief that I'm like, why do I wait until I can't deal with myself to let go of it? Like, you know, it's just a reminder that like you don't have to get to the point of having no other option but to surrender. Like we can choose to let it all, to give it up to a, I don't even know what you would call it. Give it up to the universe, God, whatever it is that you choose to call our higher power. But like, I just feel like that might be the adjustment that this one's talking about, is let things unfold how they're gonna unfold, and then choose to deal with what's unfolded instead of trying to control the unfoldment. Like, you know, yeah, that feels accurate. So if you just let the universe do its thing, well, you can deal with like, instead of trying to control how things unfold, just let it unfold, and then you get to choose what you even want to deal with, because you might not even want to give something your energy, but if you try to control the unfoldment, you're giving all of your energy to something that the universe might be working, like you might be opposing the natural unfoldment and not know it. So I feel like this is it's a message for Jill, but also probably a collective message, to let things unfold and let the adjustments happen naturally, and then you get to choose what you want to deal with after that, instead of getting overwhelmed with controlling how, or if you see something unfolding in a different way and you try to veer it back to how you think it should be, it won't work. It won't work. So going with the flow and surrendering to the adjustments that are naturally happening, I feel like is the major message here, which is a good message for everyone, including myself. So I hope that resonates, but I feel like it will, because we're all in this together, peeps. For sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Thank you, Jess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Sophia asked for cards, and so did Corinne. Hello, Corinne. Thanks for joining us today. So I'll pull for Sophia, Jess, and then you can pull for Corinne. Does that sound good? Ooh, a sisterhood from another time. That sounds juicy, Sophia.
I have no doubt.
Yeah, I
No
love
doubt.
Akashic Records stuff. It's so cool. I've had a couple readings myself over the course of the last few years, and it's just always so cool to dive into that.
I've only had two, but each one of them were like explained major things in my life now that I just was at a loss for, and it's like, wow. And tomorrow, it's interesting. Tomorrow in my Circle, we're having a lesson on Akashic Records readings by one of the members. We go on and off. Like 1 week we'll do readings, and then the next week we'll have a lesson, and then on and off. So that's interesting to mention that, because I'm going to dive into those tomorrow. A little nervous, but I'm nervous. I'm joking.
Ooh, you'll do beautifully, Jess. So, Sophia, we had one card from the Astro Codes deck and one card from the Dragons deck, and we have a repeat in the Dragons card. This is the one that I pulled for everyone when I did the full moon Astro-Weather Check on Friday. The Water Dragon has come out to play yet again, which is so appropriate since Scorpio is a water sign. So the message on the Water Dragon is: helps you flow easily round obstacles. Christ light and love are flowing. Develop your psychic abilities. Go with the flow. So I believe wholeheartedly that this dragon has come up again to repeat this message for everybody that may not have received it the first time when I released that episode Friday, or has maybe a little bit of resistance to it, because this is very much about surrender. So the messages are interwoven yet again, as always. And then the one from the Star Codes deck is Juno Partnership, card number 31. So this Juno is one of the goddess asteroids, and Juno relates very much to our relationships and our partnerships. And look how beautiful this card is with the macaws and the parrots, or what kind of, I don't know what kind of bird that is, but we got birds, we got flowers. And throughout this entire eclipse season, particularly with the first one that was in Libra back on March 25th with that Libra full moon, there was a lot that came to the surface about partnerships and relationships at that time. So that thread and those messages have certainly carried through the last several weeks, the last month, and now we're closing out, and it's time for integration, which just also relates back to that third quarter square card, because that third quarter square, last quarter square moon specifically means it's like it's called crisis of consciousness or crisis of integration. So when we get to that part of the
I said the word crisis like a few times, but
yeah.
I didn't know any of that. I mean,
you did know.
Well,
you intuitively knew. So when we get to that part of the lunar cycle, which is the one that comes after the full moon, we either have integrated and accepted whatever the lunar cycle was about, or we just let it fall away and try again next time in another year when that cycle comes around again. So, Sophia, you got these two messages, and I think that partnership one is really cool if you're asking specifically about a connection to an ancient sisterhood or some kind of star family. So I think that that's a beautiful one that corresponds to that. And then you got the water dragon and more messages of surrender threaded through. So I hope that those resonate for you.
That's pretty awesome that you pulled that for your Astro-Weather Check full moon, and then today's the actual full moon, and there's like, see, the dragons, they're just like
hello.
They're persistent and forceful, but gentle at the same time. It's like they will not be ignored ever. Once you deal with them, it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
It just shows me again, like they're just making sure that we hear them. You know?
Yeah. And the green with the heart healing and both messages coming in for love and relationships, like that's pretty cool. So
yeah, I noticed the color
definitely.
of birds too. It struck me, the beautiful bluish greenish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you for asking, Sophia. All right, Jess, you've got Corinne.
Okay. Corinne, I love you. I recently connected with Corinne, and I feel like I've known her many lifetimes after that. Just like the ease of conversation. You know, how some things are like, wait, do I know you? No, maybe, yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna do a moon card because this is a moon day. Let's see. So I'll go. Okay, so we got new moon in Gemini. Communication is key. So, I mean, yeah, it sure is. And it's so I feel like someone that would read this would think communication with other people, which, yes, definitely, but I'm feeling like this is communication with yourself also. Uh, like, like, um, like finding how you really feel about something, like communicating with yourself. Like, I know for myself, there's numerous aspects of myself that go at each other all the time, every day, all the time. So, it's, I think that it's about listening to what the actual Corinne uh is feeling and thinking, instead of the numerous voices that would be trying to tell you what other people want to hear, what other people want to do, what other people think you should be doing, what anybody else besides Corinne has to do with anything. It just, this is about communicating with yourself, I think, but also communicating with others, because once you truly communicate with yourself, then the next step, it would be communicating that those realizations to the people around you, which don't even worry about it right now, because that could cause overwhelm, because it is hard enough just to figure out what we really think, feel, want, because as empaths, we're bombarded with energy all the time, and so it is easy for stuff to slip through and infiltrate us, and then we think it's us. uh that used to drive me nuts, and I didn't even know it was happening for years, probably decades, not even just years. But so I feel like here, and actually it's bluish. There's like bluish, so I feel like that's throat, but there's also green mixed in there, so that's heart. And so I do feel like this is communication with your higher self, and finding the quietude that would like take, because you can't hear yourself if you're it's hard to hear yourself with all of the outside chatter. And so differentiating between what is outside chatter and what is your true internal voice, that's a project in and of itself. So it's really important, I feel like, to take things step by step, like not just expect immediate anything from yourself, because that's not fair. It would never, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. So I'm gonna okay. So we got, oh, these animals. So I got the bear, which last week there were 4 freaking bears in my yard. So a mama and 3 cubs. So I'm not surprised this bear came out. But anyway, bear, boundaries, stand your ground. Oh my gosh, the cards are just flying all over. Sorry. So we know this. Like, this is the word boundaries is something that we hear all the time, but it's just a word until you start to integrate what that means at all, what that means to you, what that would mean to the people around you. Like, it's hard, because the project of figuring out what your boundaries are really is just the beginning, because it's the maintenance of those boundaries that I found to be the hardest work of all, is the maintenance. And it's like, that's something that's not ever going to go away, is the maintenance of the boundaries. So I was mistaken when I thought, okay, I figured out what my boundaries are, and here they are, everyone. I thought, for a while, I thought, well, that was it. I did it. Like, no, no, because then people are people. People's is people's. Like I was saying a couple weeks ago, like, each person is going to have a separate reaction to your boundary. There's people that will be understanding, and gracious and on the same level as you. There are people that won't be. There are people that will resist it at all costs because they're used to a certain way. And it's a really, really quick way to find out the true nature of people when you start to implement boundaries. You'll find out who is in your life for their own personal gain. You'll find out who's in your life because they love you, because they really care about you, because they care about your relationship. And you'll find out who is in your life, like I said, for their own personal gain. And it sucks a lot of the time because it's a truth teller. I mean, it sucks on one hand, but if you can flip it and be grateful for the knowledge and the truth of it, but that in itself is a task. So it's like there's many layers, many layers to this boundaries thing. It's not just like, oh, here they are or anything like that. So the bear is talking about finding where your boundaries are, laying them out. But this is the maintenance, the standing your ground with them. That is the hardest part. And so this relates to that because communicating your boundaries is gonna, like, you're just gonna have to do it over and over and over and over and over and freaking over again until either the people in your life get it or they don't. And a lot of times, the people that don't will give up because they're going to have to get their fix of energy from somewhere else. Or they will do their best to just like, well, I don't know. I just you'll know. It'll be very obvious who belongs in your life as you grow, as you evolve, people, and you implement, how you truly feel, and you voice your boundaries. Um, People will start to fall away, and just let it happen. Just let it happen and grieve the loss of people if necessary. Grieve not know not I have had to grieve friendships that have, through no big huge event or anything like that, faded away. And what I realized I was actually grieving was the me having the idea that it was deeper than it was, or me, not that it was not a good friendship for the time, but like, it's not it's not like the loss of the person. It's the loss of the idea that I had of the relationship. You know what I mean? Because there are billions of people out there. So people will leave, but that makes room for more aligned people to enter. So well, for me, clutching to that idea was helpful. um, but still difficult, because there's going to be some grief there, whether it's losing people or just realizing that the idea of them isn't who they really are, which holding boundaries, that will show you. It'll bring people's true colors to light because they're like, wait a minute, you know, right? And then they'll get however they get. So just be very mindful of people's reactions to you telling the truth, you know, and know that your boundaries are important. It's for your own peace. Your life belongs to you. And so by allowing people in your life that constantly siphon your energy out for their own benefit, that's not living your life for you. That's when you become completely depleted and miserable and, you know, drained and all those things. Um, we're not here to live our lives for others. I feel like if we do that, I mean, it's not to say don't be compassionate and kind and all those things. It's hard as empaths to put ourselves first and to truly understand the concept of filling your cup first and giving from the overflow. Like, to empaths, a lot of times that feels selfish. It's not. It's not, because you'll be then what are you going to do once your cup is empty? There's nothing for anyone. So um I liken it to like if you're on an airplane and you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you can help anybody else do anything. Like that's exactly the same thing. How can you help anyone else if you can't even breathe? So I feel like keep on keeping on, girl, and you've got this. And it's part of a journey. It is not an overnight thing at all. And also, there's no set timeline, so don't be like, I should be, I should be anywhere at any time. But like, I just don't. I don't want, like, nobody is behind. Like, now is the time that you're realizing certain things, and it's perfect timing for you. And so not comparing ourselves to other people and their journey is really, really important. And I feel like that's important for me to say to you now here. Yeah, don't think that you're behind, or that there's any sort of timeline on it that would mean you're behind or ahead or anything, because it's personal to you. And like I was saying when we first started this live, like it takes time to notice patterns. Like things have to happen a few times for it to even become a pattern, and then however long it takes for us to be in the space to reflect on the fact that it is a pattern, and then reflect on what the heck do I do now that I see this, so there's not an ahead or behind type of thing going on either. So giving yourself rest, giving the compassion you would give to your best friend or your child, give it to yourself. It's important. It's important. We have to be our own best friend as much as we are other people's best friends. So I hope that helps. It's been a doozy of an eclipse season for sure. The most intense that I've experienced in quite some time. And we're people that are aware that this goes on, and it's still been for real. So I can only imagine what it would be like for people that are completely unaware. Like I wouldn't even want to, oh my God, no, I wouldn't want to be in my 20s dealing with, no, with the, like, so just be grateful for certain realizations that are coming up. And know that there's no set time on anything, but also do know that this is the real work, but also know that it is worth it. And you have the rest of your life to live. So at any point that we realize something is the correct point, and it's worth our effort towards ourselves. Yeah. Yeah. I love you. Hang in there, girl.
I think that was very beautiful.
It feels accurate. For myself too. It's like all these things are for
It was very collective also.
Yeah, like I'm like every week these messages are for me just as much as whoever's here with us, I swear.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I continue to be amazed by that, but I truly am, because it's like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. We are all here at the same time in the human experience, experiencing.
Yes.
Yes.
And then just while you were reading for Corinne, Sophia said that dragons are hilarious, and they're like their energy is cat-like, which I totally agree with.
Ooh. You know that movie, How to Train Your Dragon or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
So the little black dragon in that, the animator and the illustrators of that movie based that dragon and its mannerisms on one of their like pet cats.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, because when I was watching that, I'm like, that is such a kitty thing. Like, I mean, I've had cats my whole life, and at the time I had a black cat, so I was like, is that Bruce? Like, what's that? And so it's yes.
I've read something somewhere in my research on dragons that they are like an incarnation. Cats are like an incarnation of the energy to an extent.
I believe it. And so that would be interesting that I've literally had cats my entire life.
Me too, with the exception of right now.
But
this is like my driest spell ever.
But you've got dragons.
Yes.
So, yeah. So it's one or the other or both at any given point. That makes perfect sense to me. Oh, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, thanks, Sophia. It's very cool. Yeah, so we don't have any other reading requests at the moment.
I
So
think
we
I should
could.
pull a dragon card though, because you
I was
pulled
gonna
one.
say, take the opportunity to do a collective one in the
Because
meantime.
my deck was a little buried and I unburied it, and that's got to be for a reason, because it's all for a reason. Okay, what do we got? Okay, we've got Orange Gold Dragon from Arcturus. I don't know if I've drawn this one before. But it is the color of a dragon that I've made, the first one, the first baby one I ever made. So, okay, opens you to knowledge for the new golden age. Carry the energy of the future. Be a guiding light. I feel like that's optimism for the future. I feel like that this is optimistic for the future. That I look at those colors and I just think Aries, which our eclipses were both in Aries. So that doesn't surprise me either. I don't know much about Arcturus, though.
It's one of the fixed stars and has that same color.
The star is that color? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Be a guiding light. I feel like that's that's saying that you have valuable qualities that the world needs, like all of us uniquely. And so it's important to be not to hide. Now is not the time to hide our true selves. It says here, it's not by chance you have incarnated during this extraordinary 20-year period where our planet is undergoing a double dimensional shift. Earth needs spiritual leaders and light bearers. These dragons are blazing their light towards you, for it holds the vision of our fifth dimensional future. They're inspiring you to do your part for the new golden age on Earth. Yeah, I felt like that. Like it's each of us have a unique piece of some kind of a collective puzzle that if we don't be who we truly are, that puzzle will not be completed or something. Receiving this card indicates that it is time to stand in your power and fulfill your destiny. Allow the orange gold dragons from Arcturus to enter your energy fields and breathe into you the vision of Earth as it will be. Oh, yeah. So I was saying, like, a vision for the future. That's cool. I like it when my ideas kind of match. It makes me feel like I'm not, full of nonsense. So they will give you the strength, wisdom, and knowledge that you will need for the transformation ahead. You have much to do and many people to help, and a beautiful seventh dimensional orange gold dragon for Arcturus will stay by your side as long as you need it to be. Be a guiding beacon to light the way for many. So, yeah, like as we are brave and step into who we truly are and stop letting our energy be siphoned out everywhere else, it's going to show people, it's like without us even meaning for it to be, it is an example for others to do the same. It will get noticed. And the people that it's meant to be noticed by will be inspired to do the same. And once enough people are doing that, that's for in my understanding, that's how evolution itself happens.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the work that we do is helping humans evolve. I know that sounds pretty grand. I know, but I really think so. Like I don't know, I'm just pretty bent on not giving up, and like some people run away from issues and struggle, but I find myself charging forward into it, which is difficult, and I don't know why. I'm sure Ursula could be like, well, it's right here in your chart and here and here and here and here and here, but but like um sometimes I'm like, why do you do this to yourself? Like, it doesn't have to be this hard, but it's like, because I want to, I just feel like my efforts help humanity itself evolve. And so I'm looking generations ahead, you know, our energy is so important, and it's not lost because you find your tribe and then you all do it. And like, it's evolution isn't just like, a lizard or a frog growing legs or whatever, moving from the water to the land. It's like, I don't know, it's more than that. It's a consciousness evolution. And I just want the earth to be a better place for future generations. And so we're here now to do this. And so I'm just, yeah, I just think it's really important to be your own unique self and not to crumble under the outside pressure that will tell you to stop. Because that's always going to be there. It's super, super important to just not give up and not to stop. So, yeah.
You ready for some fun facts about Arcturus that thread through messages that already came through today?
Yes, please.
So this is from space.com.
Right.
Arcturus is a red giant star in the northern hemisphere of Earth's sky and the brightest star in the constellation Bootes, the herdsman. Arcturus is also among the brightest stars that can be seen from Earth. And then here's the other fun fact that I found really cool. The name Arcturus comes from the Greek meaning keeper or guardian of the bear.
What?
Which refers to its position adjacent to the tail of the constellation Ursa Major.
Ursula,
which is also the root of my name. I was named after the Dippers, by the way, everybody. So, yeah, look for the Big Dipper, and then you'll find Arcturus, and it's super bright, which I said, and it's the same color as the dragon that came out. So, yeah, wonderful, wonderful things.
The bear? Oh, okay. Like, duh, shut down. Oh, wild.
Yep.
Anyway. Gosh.
So, and everything you're saying too, Jess, is so much in alignment with the energy of this full moon in particular, with the square that it's making to the planet Pluto. So we have twice a year sun squaring Pluto. So with this full moon, we're at one of them. And I'm pretty sure, let me think. I'm not going to quote myself on that, but sun square Pluto only happens twice a year, like I said. And this energy is more unique this time around because Pluto's now freshly again in the sign of Aquarius. So it's a very different energy. And it is very much about power dynamics and struggles, but also remembering who we are and how we have to shine our light in the world and do our duty and do our part and remember that we contribute to the greater good. That's very much what the Aquarian energy is all about. So there's a challenge right now between Pluto and the sun's our consciousness, who we are at our core. So sticking up for ourselves, continuing to move forward, like when the bull starts to charge, the bull is unstoppable. Well, and that's the animal that's associated with the sign of Taurus. So all of those energies are sort of threaded through everything under this full moon, but also for the past month or so. So Jess's words of wisdom resonate deep and true to a lot of what's happening collectively, but also individually and personally for everybody right now.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
So I got a house full of Scorpio moons here. So like, but also I'm a Taurus. So I feel like, is it true that, so if there's something going on in the opposite sign of what you are, you're going to also feel certain aspects of that? Is that true?
Yes. But this is your birth moon.
Right. Oh God. So yeah. But so I'm just constant because I'm Taurus and Scorpio. And so it's like, no wonder my whole life. I used to describe myself as a walking contradiction before I understood what anything meant. Because like, yeah, like everything that ever happens, I'm like, one side of me is here and the other. It's just like, how can these polar opposites exist inside of myself? Like, and I feel them both equally. So
yeah,
making a choice when I was younger was just like the hardest thing ever because I was like equally, and it made me feel like I was like 100 different people, because every thing, I don't know. I don't know. So yeah. So having
I
the
mean, that's
Taurus and the moon in Scorpio, and me being a Taurus Scorpio, like almost evenly, because it's whatever.
mhm.
I feel like I'm able to, like, yeah, I understand why I'm feeling all my feels, but I'm also super grateful that it's not causing me crisis. Like, it's just not causing me crisis. I'm feeling them all, but I'm able to just be like, all right, well, this is something that is worth diving in with my energy. This is something that's not quite worth it as much right now. Like, I just feel a lot calmer. Whereas even last year or even 6 months ago, I might have been like, ah, helpers.
Yes.
But
Yeah, and one of the things that's so important in what you said is there is a very distinct choice between cowering and not doing the thing that you came here to do. And that's okay. I mean, we all have those moments. I've had them so many times myself. And that's why we write about Dark Nights of the Soul, because that experience is very much about.
yeah,
Or finding the higher vibration and whatever's happening, and choosing the personal growth. And the tagline that I gave for the new moon in Aries, which was the total solar eclipse, was the alchemy of healing.
yeah,
And we're all responsible for our own healing journey. And staying in that higher vibration energy is very much in alignment with the Aquarius part that we're all collectively dealing with now, with the Pluto shift and everything, and that transmutation and the transformation and diving into the cycle, and what, coming out on the other side of it reborn in some way where you're a better version of yourself. So that's the whole process that we're all sort of really steeped in right now over the last month in particular. And there's always a choice.
yeah. And choice, to me, equals freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Be I think that this past year I've been able to, like, appreciate, find the positive in things that don't feel so positive when you first enter into it. Like, yeah, I don't know. Super interesting. And
Mm-hmm.
I read something, I feel like mentioning this. I read something interesting about healing is it's like, so when you're on a healing journey, it's like you're encountering the inner child who's scared and wants nothing but security and safety. Then there's the inner teenager who's just pissed and wants to bust it all up and and rage through it. And then there's us now that really all we freaking want is peace. So how do you, and which is why we're on the healing journey, right? So it's like, how do you give enough attention to each of these aspects of ourselves while they're all living inside of ourselves at the same time? Like, something will go on and my inner teenagers be like, want to say, punch someone in the face. No, you don't actually want to do that. Like, when you were 16, you probably did, but not when you're like almost 43. You don't, because your 43-year-old just wants peace, like, but your teenager wants to tear shit up, and your inner child just wants to feel safe. So it's a definite balancing act and journey to balance all those three things, and to help those prior versions of ourselves, excuse me, catch up to, like, now, you know
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and none of that's easy at all. But the eclipse seasons really expedite that process, I find. And the more you
Yes.
consistently do work, not that it's ever going to be simple or easy per se, but it will be smoother. The things will still happen, but you'll be able to navigate it easier, instead
Mm-hmm.
of ignoring things you need to work on, and then eclipse season happens and all of a sudden you're hitting the head with a brick. It's like, it doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be. And
Yeah.
I only know that out of experience, because I'm I'm, as I like to call it, strong-willed, but other people call it stubborn, however you choose. But yeah, so I only know these things and I'm saying these things because I went through the whole resistance part, like, hardcore. to
Yep.
get to where I am now.
Yeah. And the other thing that you were saying too, in the opposing forces or the paradox, like that's what a full moon is. It's the moon opposite the sun. So whenever there's an opposition in astrology, whether it's like a full moon or when something comes on the other side of our chart, opposing something that we have natally, there's always an opportunity for balance. And remembering that is key, that equilibrium always takes some kind of tweaking on one side or the other. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like when you're riding a bike and you run over a rock or something.
Yeah, you're constantly balancing. When you're driving a car, you're constantly tweaking the wheel so you stay in a straight line or whatever so there's always just remembering that too, and making that a habit. You kind of learn, just by default how to make the tweaks to, stay centered.
And it becomes smoother and smoother as you practice. And
Yeah.
again, you can liken that to riding a bike or something. You practice it long enough, you don't even have to think about it anymore.
Exactly.
And you'll always know how to do it,
Yes.
So.
So we've had a lot of comments since we've been talking about all this. Jean joined and said, "Are we answering personal questions? If you'd like a reading, Jean, yes, please just let us know. You can ask whatever you want." And then Lisa joined Jess and she said hi. She's home for lunch.
Oh, Lisa, love you. Oh.
And that she hearing it is a Scorpio full moon was helpful to recognize my feelings. Yes. So tonight it will be 7:47, 7:48 p.m. here on the East Coast, which is pretty cool because as the moon is rising, it will be reaching peak fullness, which we don't always get to experience. So if it's clear, if you're on the East Coast where you are at sunset, watch the moon rise because that'll be a particularly relatively rare experience to actually get to watch the full moon rise. It's not always full when it comes up over the horizon. So if you get to see that, please try and.
So she's an hour earlier than us. So when would that apply still?
It'll be not yet. So when it rises for her, I think it'll already have reached fullness.
So, but it'll be rising full.
Yeah. It'll be pretty full still. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Corinne and Sophia, thank you for all the comments. And then Rachel is asking, is there time for one more? And Lisa also asked Jess, and I'm kind of waiting on Jean if you're still here to ask if you'd like a reading. So let's see. Do you want to do Lisa or do you want me to do Lisa?
Up to you. I will. I'll do it. I got my moon deck.
And I'll do Rachel.
Okay.
And then if Jean asks, we'll do her last, and then we'll wrap it up for today. We covered a lot.
I feel like that. Yeah. All right. Wow, I never drew this one. Ursula, I never even heard of this. Balsamic moon.
That is the phase where the moon is dark. That's actually the phase I was born under. So right after, right before the moon is new, it disappears from the sky for roughly 2 days, 2.5 days, and we can't see it at all. And that is what the balsamic phase is.
So it says balsamic moon, a time for healing. Which, yeah, right? It is. I just feel like now is definitely time for healing for a lot of people. And all that purple says healing to me as well. And so I'm feeling, Lisa, that it's taking pressure off of yourself for whatever it is that you're feeling pressure, to just let go of that. And I'm feeling like it follows the surrender card that I drew for, was it Jill? And then we get the frog, which is purification, which I feel like healing is purification. So that correlates for me, but also clear out the clutter. And that could mean, clear out your drawers or your closets, but I don't think so. I think internal chatter, just, that's not easy for me to ever do. So when I'm trying to give someone advice to do this, it's like I almost feel like a hypocrite. But that also has to do with surrender, like just bye. Like all of it. So whenever I'm trying to do that, this internal declutter business, I picture myself. Okay, so I picture myself casting a net over all the crap. Usually it's a butt like this, just casting like a big old fishing net over it, tying up the end and just chucking it overboard, just boop all of it, so that you don't even have to go through, like, you don't have to weed through the chatter. It's just like lump it all together and chuck it overboard, and then just relax and have a delicious cup of tea. Do like a painting for painting's sake. Who cares about who needs what done when? They can make their own dinner, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like I could just see like you chucking a big old fishing net full of internal whatnots overboard, and like making a really nice cup of tea and sitting down with a box of paints and like letting whatever. So when you get rid of all that crap, other things will rise up to the surface where there wasn't room for before. And I feel like some kind of a really beautiful watercolor painting is going to come out of you. Watercolor in particular, for some reason, probably the wateriness of all the whatevers. But so that probably sounded a little, I don't know, but Lisa also knows me and how I talk in like, she knows how to put my pieces together. So just know that this is a time for you to just let it all go and feel yourself and just do something just for you, whether it's artistic expression, which I do feel like it is, or even if it's just like going out and picking a really beautiful flower and putting it on your desk, making a really nice cup of tea, reading a book that you forgot about. Cast the fishing net, get all the internal chatter, clutter, chuck it overboard, and see what is underneath it all. If you look at it with like a curiosity, you might be able to get into it easier, instead of looking at it like a burdenous task. Just lump it all together, chuck it overboard, and be curious about what's underneath. Because what's underneath is going to be much, much closer to the essence of you than any of that nonsense that got caught in the net. So I think take it easy today for sure. Probably the rest of the week even, but take pressure off of yourself and let peoples be peoples, you know? I just love that quote. I love Kermit. The Muppets Take Manhattan is still one of my favorite movies ever, ever, ever. I'm always, when I surrender, I'm just like, people's is people's. Kermit said it, you know? Sometimes they get side eye, other times people get it. Whatever. Oh, it's a frog! Oh my God.
It looks like a bullfrog too.
Oh, I can't even. It's the frog. Kermit right there. So.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Oh, Jess, I
love you,
it.
Lisa.
All right, we're going to close out with Rachel for today. And Rachel, I pulled, if you weren't here for the beginning, I'm pulling from my Star Codes Astro Oracle deck today and the Dragons Oracle deck. So the card that came out for you from the Star Codes deck is Transits. So that is a beautiful card filled with lovely mandalas and circles and reminders that there are just cycles in life. So it's card number 55. Fives are change, added together, they bring down to a 1. So that's like a new beginning. So this speaks very much like a rebirth message to me for you. And what transits are astrologically in plain English is just where everything is in the sky. So at the like current moment. So you're born with your natal chart, and that's like a snapshot. And then everything continues to move, and all the planets will influence us in certain ways from that moment forward. So whether you're in a cycle like a Saturn return, so if you're like 27-30, if you're in a Uranus opposition, like if you're 40 or 42, 50 is Chiron return, 60 is your second Saturn return. So, and we all go through these stages of life related to the planets and the timing and the divine timing of the universe. So where everything is always influencing us in a certain way because it's always making some kind of transit or aspect to our own natal charts. So there's always some kind of cycle or personal climate involved at all times. So if you know your chart, like where's the Scorpio full moon happening for you? What's culminating since 6 months ago when the moon was new in Scorpio back on November 13th? So we're all constantly in these larger cycles. And in between jobs. Okay, yeah. So that's definitely related, especially with eclipse season, and eclipses bring change. So just pay very close attention to what's been left behind and where you're moving forward. And the personal growth and the healing journey that's involved in that. Job changes or big transitions. So definitely pay attention to that. And then we got more pink, and we got a pink lotus, Jess. So I feel complete with this card, with this being the last card. Kuan Yin's pink dragon brings firm love that resets your karmic balance. See all your cords dissolved by transcendent love. Enjoy your freedom. Look for the divine around you. So I gave this tagline for this full moon, your inner pink lotus. Pink very specifically because it's the pink moon, but that pink lotus is also associated with the Buddha's teachings, spirituality, rebirth, our life's transformation cycles. And isn't Kuan Yin a super powerful goddess? Jess, do you know anything about Kuan Yin?
I always associate compassion with Kuan Yin. And so I feel like it's important to have compassion for people, but I feel like in this time it's talking about having compassion for yourself and all the things that you're going through and the gentleness. You know, to extend yourself grace, and have compassion for your own personal journey instead of getting frustrated about why you're not somewhere else or why anything. Actually, just like drop that question out of don't even what. Yeah, just because, and just have compassion for what is and where you are instead of asking why this or why that or trying to solve any puzzles.
Yeah. I love that message too. Firm love that resets your karmic balance. So there's that balance theme once again coming in. This really is one of the more beautiful, prettier. I mean, the dragons are always beautiful, but this one in particular, I find to be one of the more gorgeous, I guess you could say, dragons in the whole deck.
Yeah.
Just as far as the artwork goes. So just remember, everybody.
Well, the whole message of what a lotus goes through to bloom and all that,
Yeah, and creating beauty out of the muck, like you said in the very beginning.
Yeah, so that is a reason to extend yourself compassion and grace, because we should not forget our own growth, just look back 5 years and you'll be able to see a distinct difference. Looking back to yesterday or last month might not be so obvious anything that has changed or any growth or whatever, but if you look back a little bit further, give yourself credit for where you were and where you are. I think that's important.
I do too.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Rachel. Yeah. Got to give yourself some grace.
Absolutely. And compassion. That's Kuan Yin. That's what she brings for me, is compassion. A reminder. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And gentleness does not mean weakness at all.
It says firm love. So there is such a thing.
Right. And that's what the dragons, I was talking about that earlier too. They're firm but gentle. And how does that even equal out? But Kuan Yin would be a really good example of that I never would have thought of, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. So we are going to wrap up for today. G-Thing, I'm sorry we didn't get to you today, but feel free to explore all of our services, and then if not, join us for our next live. I'm pretty sure we'll be keeping with this schedule moving forward. So there's Tuesday mornings at 11:30 Eastern, And then we have a new feature on our website where you can leave us a review. So if you just go to the About Contact menu item right below it, you'll see reviews and testimonials, and you can see everything that we've received so far from people. We're 5 stars across the board, which I'm so excited and thrilled about. It was kind of cool to go through them all and compile them when I was doing that. So you can leave us a review if you'd like. We'd appreciate it. Give a review, get a coupon. So if you do, just take a screenshot and email it to us, and we'll send you a coupon for 5% off anything on our website. And yeah, remember, we got that virtual tip jar link in the show description. So show us some gratitude that way if you'd like. Not required, but always appreciated. And we will
Our
be
Soul
back with
Garden.
you again probably next week. We have our Soul Garden membership as well. That is live readings like we do here, but just for members. So that's once a month for members only, and also once a month online Soul Circle, and early access to our Soul broadcasts, exclusive coupons, all of that just for $11.11 a month. And also that includes a 30-day free trial. And we do have a new coupon code for our clothing line, our merch line. So that's Spring 24. And that'll save you 10% off until June 21st. And I also just wanted to mention that our Soul broadcast for April was called Reweaving. So there's a lot of tools and tips in there from our own collective contributions to that can help you along with this journey, because everyone is experiencing some kind of reweaving right now for sure. So just to mention that as well.
Oh yeah.
Just anything you want to say in closing?
No. I mean, just love you all, and we're all in it together, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, and don't feel like you're ahead or behind or any sort of timeline on anything. Also feels important to say.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for joining us today, and we will see you next time.
Bye.